This is the Icy Pond stamp set that we're going to be using, and this is the card that we're going to be making, which features snow, the look of snow. And there's a person here on the lake ice fishing, and there's real pretty trees in the background. And I just threw this together the other night, so I thought I need to make a video showing the process of how this was made in case anybody wants to try something similar. All right, so I'm going to get so it's not so close up and show you the stamp set. Again, this is from Kitchen Sink Stamps. This is a multi-layer, multi-step layering stamp set, and it has all kinds of really cool components regarding like this icy pond. You've got the pond itself, some really cool trees, and then some other little figurines. This is the fisherman that I use, but you've got some people on a toboggan, you've got somebody playing ice hockey, somebody ice skating, a couple ice skating, a snowman, another person ice skating, another person ice skating, and then some more people playing hockey. So there's also some mountains that you can put in the background. So it's it's a little set, but it certainly has a lot of punch. It's called a mini set. And here's a picture of an example of a card that you could make. All right, so let's get started. Put the first layer in my MISTI, and I have the cardstock adhered down, and the guide that comes with it, they call it a recipe guide because it basically has color recipe. It shows you step 1, step 2, step 3, and in the guide it uses this Memento Summer Sky for all the steps, but I have come up with a different color recipe which I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to start with the darkest image and go to the lightest. And for my darkest image, which is the top layer of the pond, I'm using this Sea Glass Surface ink from Brutus Monroe. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and start stamping this, and using a MISTI helps, or some kind of stamp positioning tool helps, because then you can go back in and you can just get a helping hand with the layering part of it, making sure that things are lined up. So you can see that just created a impression of water. Okay, the next layer is layer 2. So I go back to my stamp set and I see this is 2. And also what I do to help me remember which one goes in which order, I write in permanent marker on the back, not the side that I actually stamped down, but the other side I'll write the number. So you see I wrote the number 2 right here. I mean, I wrote it upside down, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. And really what I'm doing right now, I'm just trying to get this lined up best that I can. It's not that hard to do. You can see that it is, now when you get your stamp, it will be clear. Mine has a little bit of color to it because I've used it a couple times already with some inks that stained it. Staining of the stamp does not change the stamp or the effectiveness of the stamp in any way. As a matter of fact, some of my viewers have commented that it actually helps them because it helps them to better see where to line things up. Another trick you can do is layering using some acetate. So if you're having trouble getting things just so, you can do what Jennifer McGuire did. Lay this down. She did a video with kitchen sink stamps. Lay this down first, and then you could position your stamp using that technique. Well, I might as well do it because I just pulled up my stamp. So you'll see here that I want to go ahead and line that up, and that's your perfect position right there. All right, And what I'll do then is take my stamp and get it in that same position. Sometimes it helps me to use a pencil eraser because my fingers seem to, the stamp seems to really want to stick to my fingers at all times. And it's because it's a really good photopolymer stamp. Again, keeping that right where it was. Oh, I just bumped it. Didn't mean to bump it. Let's get it back into spot here. Let's get it spot on straight. Okay. Go ahead and close the MISTI. And then it's going to pick that up. Then you can move your piece of acetate away. Okay, and I'm just going to go over and look. Just let me just double check here real quick. Yeah, that looks really good. So it works. Of course it works. It's a Jennifer Maguire trick. The next color I'm using is called Dusty Blue. It's by Hero Arts. This is a mid-tone for my set here. Oh, you know what? I better clean that because sometimes that acetate, which I had, I put some, obviously the acetate had black, and I don't want any of that black sticking to my, this acetate has been stamped with black, and I don't want it sticking to my blue. So I'm just going to clean my image real quick, just clean it off real quick, go back in with the Hero Dusty Blue. It's my number 2 color. And I want to show you something then once I do this. What I have, and I got this from other people who use Blue Night rubber stamps, is to do a little card that you can then keep in with your stamps so that you have a memory of what you used and what worked well. So I wrote it down, folks. That is a good idea. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just using my microfiber cloth to get a little bit more pressure there. So you see how that created the next layer, and I'm pleased with that. And now our final layer. This is the very large layer that goes on top. Okay. I'll try to speed things up here because this card has a lot of components to it, and I don't want this video to get too long. And I hope it doesn't get too long because I'm not yet familiar with how to edit my videos. We recently purchased a brand new computer in the hopes that I would be able to edit my videos, but I film my videos on my iPhone and my computer does not recognize my iPhone because, I mean, I guess that's how these new computers are. They're set up that they are only recognizing Android phones, which I had no idea. So my next phone might be an Android phone, although I love my iPhone, and I think the camera is, you know, outstanding. I definitely would like to be able to transfer the videos that I take then over to my computer so that I can do some video editing. And I'm sure there's a software out there that you can get, but I mean, I try really hard to figure it out myself, and I can't. So what I do is I just time myself and get as much information together ahead of time, get as many components together ahead of time so that when I do go to videotape, then it doesn't take quite as long. All right, we're done with the MISTI. The rest is all done with the stamp positioning tool. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down, grab my little person who is, no, first I'm going to grab my pine trees. So we'll start with number 1. And I'm just gonna, you know, I'm stamping off the page a little bit, which is fine. And I have to find my green ink. Oh, that's right, I put it away. Wasn't thinking, folks. But it's right here behind me. All right, got it. Okay. So for the first layer, I'm using Hero Arts Forest. That's the color. Let me just grab a stamp positioning block. All right, and we'll go ahead and get this inked up. So update on my dog, for those of you who are wondering, she's doing well, and her wounds have scabbed over. She, for those of you that don't know, she was apparently bit by another animal behind her ears. I had to take her to the vet. Long story short, we were treating her for 2 open wounds behind her ears. And isn't that beautiful? I mean, that's just beautiful. That gets me every time. Because these kitchen sink stamps are layering stamps, I think they really look lifelike. They really look like a real photograph. And that's what impresses me so much about these. And even just that little thing that I just stamped right there, just the detail, I think it's just really impressive. These have little places where you can sort of use, they're kind of notched a little bit, so I kind of lined that part up with the edge of the lake, or the icy pond. You know, all I can say is get yourself some kitchen sink stamps and take the time to experiment with them. So next I'm going to go with number 2, and then you'll see how these layer so nicely. But yeah, she's healing up very well. We had to give her antibiotics and anti-inflammatories, and she didn't have any trouble with the medicines, thank goodness. Everything went well for her. And let me get my eraser out. And luckily, I only had to wear the cone of shame on her for a little while. And when we first brought her home, because they had to shave the fur behind her ears. But anyways, she was itching at first, and I was like, oh, no, no, no. If you keep itching, then I'm going to have to take you back to the vet, and they're going to have to sedate you so that they can put some stitches in there, and I don't want to have to pay that bill. I had already spent $250 on her bill. The color that I'm using here is Hero Arts Lime Green. And I'm going to upload this video tonight, and then I'll probably go to bed as it's uploading. But tomorrow I will put down in the description information on all of the products that I'm using and all the colors of ink and whatnot, so that you can have a link to be able to check that out. Okay, so there we go. That makes for a really nice image. And the third layer is the snow layer. So I'm not going to do that one because I'm going to be using some glitter for my snow. So I figured it didn't need to add that third layer, but you certainly could. If you didn't want to get into the mess of glitter and whatnot, you could definitely go ahead and do that third layer. Okay, so I'm just coming to the other side and I have a nice clear idea here of where this is going to line up. I'm just eyeballing it, you know, I'm not using any stamp positioning tool or anything like that. And that looks really good. Now go back again with my first layer and we'll get some trees around the outer rim of the icy pond. Okay, so I'm going back in with my first color ink, which is Hero Arts Forest. And I'll start by putting some trees down right here, right in the center part of the lake, and then I'll put more on the side. And I tell you, that stamp right there by itself I think looks great. If you didn't feel like you wanted to, you know, do the layering, you certainly wouldn't have to. I'm just going to go right over top with another batch of trees here. It's okay with me that I'm going over an image that I previously stamped. And here's the thing, when I go to make the card and put the snow on it, it doesn't, it's fine. I think it looks fine. All right, let's go over to this side and put some trees on this side of it. The left side of the, yeah. And then we have a little bit of a gap here, so I'm going to just stamp part of the, just gonna stamp part of this, like the first side of it. Instead of doing the whole thing, I'm just doing part of it. I'll just go right in here and fill in the gap. If you wanted to, you could do some second generation stamping, and that would be, I'll show you what I mean here. Second generation is where you stamp on and then go directly behind it, but offset it and stamp again. So there it looks like there's trees behind the trees. But I don't think I have to do that for this. I'm just going to go in with my second and go ahead in with the lime green and start with my second layer. So yeah, we're very happy that she's doing well, and you know, is everything, her skin and everything has grown together. Everything's good. And now I'm sure once the fur starts coming in, it'll be itchy for her. But so far so good. She hasn't been itching herself that much, so we're thankful for that. Okay, I'm gonna go in here, add some of the second layer to this set of trees. You see, I'm just eyeballing that up, folks. It's not hard to make these layers. The company has created these stamps that they do all the work for you, in my opinion. Okay, and then our final, let's see, I think it was right here. Yep, it was right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna stop. All right, now let's go ahead and lay our image down of our man fishing, ice fishing. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. I like to put him right in the middle of the pond, but I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but you know what I mean. Okay, and I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne because it really is really a great ink to use with any kind of silhouette image. Let me show you what I mean. Just really crisp. I mean, you can see the detail of the fisher and the fisherman and his fish and his like hole in the ice. Let me do that one more time to show you. I'm going to get a smaller block. Don't need this gigantic block for this smaller image. All right, put that down, and then we'll move on to the step where we apply the snow. Let me make sure I get a nice crisp of him or her. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good spot right here. That looks like a good spot to be fishing. Ice fishing, that is. Okay, so here we go. We've got our person fishing on the ice. We've got lovely trees in the background, and we've got our water. Now, what I did was I took my alcohol marker B000 Frost Blue, and what I did was I went ahead and I just filled in with that under the tree line. Okay, so all I'm doing is, you know, filling in, and then I just went under here, okay, and I just put some more blue so it wasn't so white. It doesn't have to be, you know, an exact can be, in other words, it can be choppy. You know, it doesn't have to be. It can be. I'm no expert with Copic coloring, but I do realize that I didn't put enough of a tree line in there. So let's go ahead and this is where it comes in handy. I've got number 1 here. Let's go and put one more row of evergreen. We'll use our forest, which is our first color. Okay. All right. Good, good, good. Yep, looks good. Okay. All right. So here's the trick for the snow. Let me get all of these stamps out of the way because this stuff is sticky and messy in a way. If you don't like messy things, you might not like this step. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and what I use, okay, so I finally broke down and bought a roll of this super tacky, it's called Couture Creations. It's a clear double-sided adhesive. It's super, super tacky. And this is how I'm able to then adhere the glitter snow. All right, so let me just, my desk is a total mess. I definitely need to do some cleaning here after I get this, but I wanted to get this video filmed so you could see the technique, because I came up with this in my own head. Like, I didn't, a lot of times, you know, I'll see somebody film something like really cool and I say, oh, I want to try that. Let me give that a try. No, this was me. I just started creating last night, and this is what I came up with. I'm sure there's others who have done it. I'm not taking the credit. I'm sure I watched somebody do something similar. So you see what I'm going for here. I have this cardstock that is different. It's like a wood grain, but it's like blue tint. It's just different. What I'm going to do though is trim it so that it doesn't have any overhang. You know, I'm just going to use my scissors and do it so I don't have to drag my paper trimmer out. Okay, good enough. Good enough. All right. So let me get that out again so you can see where I'm going with this. All right. So what I need to do is cut this super sticky adhesive. It's a gigantic roll. I'm sure it'll last me a long time. I'm gonna lay it down, making sure that I have my stamped image covered. I will burnish it by just pressing in, okay? Just burnishing that. Now, before I peel it, I want to trim the edges. That overhang I want to get rid of. Yeah, my edge is not straight from where I did that earlier, but that's okay. It is all right. Okay. I'm sure it's straighter than the one that I made last night because I was like making things on the fly. It's like experimenting. It's like when you're making a recipe and you're, you know, cooking in the kitchen and you're like, maybe I'll add some of this. Maybe I'll add some of that. Okay, trying to even this out a little bit. Is it evened? Not exactly, but close enough. All right, let me grab a piece of, let me grab my little craft mat here. This is where it comes in handy to have one of these little craft mats. because this glitter stuff is very messy. All right, put some things down to weigh it down so it doesn't fly up. Okay. All right, so what we have is something that I picked up at a stamp show because I had no glitter. I did not have any iridescent glitter, and I'm wandering around the stamp show and hoping that I can find some glitter somewhere, and this is what I found. Now, I'm hoping that you all will leave your comments below to help me find something maybe that's not as coarse as this. Okay, this is Twinklet's Diamond Dust. It comes in a round container. I just dumped it into here so that I could have less of a mess. And this is definitely a messy, it's a messy, there's no doubt about it. Okay, and it's also sharp. So that's the other thing I would warn you, be careful when you're using this. These little pieces, I guess, are like plastic cut up and they're sharp. Just be really careful. Okay, so I'm gonna peel the protector from the adhesive here. Maybe not that end because that end doesn't want to come up. Let's go with this end. And yep, here it comes. Okay, so it's completely clear. All right, which is really nice. Now, what I'm going to do is take my little spoon here and put the snow on the treetops, the treetop part of this. So along the top here, I'm gonna sprinkle snow, dust, glitter, whatever it is, twinkle stuff. It's sharp. Please leave comments below if you have any better recommendations on a product that I could use. This stuff definitely packs the iridescent factor. There's no doubt about it. It definitely is very sparkly, and it's almost like, looks like glass almost, and it feels like glass. How do I know? Because what I'm going to do is burnish this with the release paper that it came with. And, I have to be really careful how I burnish it because I can't burnish it with my bare hands because it feels like it's cutting into me. Now, I'm going to stay away from the man on the lake. I'm going to I don't want to put a lot of snow over top of him because that just kind of distorts it and it kind of takes away from, focal point, in other words. But you see how that's coming together and how shiny that is? So the most important thing is just to make sure you get it on your trees. You can even get it underneath the trees here along the edge. But I'm not going to put it on my guy. I did put a little bit on my guy in my first version of this, but I decided that when I go to make my follow-up version, which is this one, I'm not going to put the snow right on top of him. This is really coarse. You can tell it's really coarse. I'm sure there's something out there that's not quite as coarse as this. I'll just have to get some the next time I place an order somewhere. Okay, good enough for me. Okay, let's put the lid on this so I don't spill it everywhere. Okay. All right, turn it this way. Take the release paper, lay it right over top. Take a stamp block and just kind of like burnish it. You want to get that stuff to stick down in there. Now, because I said this is sharp, I came up with a method for protecting the recipient of this card. I don't want my recipient of the card to injure themselves or get cut or, scratched when they go to open this card. Okay, so what I've done, let me shake some of that off because it will come loose once you you know, burnish it, what other parts aren't going to stick or going to come loose. So what I've done, okay, I have a piece of acetate here. Just clear acetate. I have it trimmed to the size of this. And I'm going to lay that right over top. All right, now I have a little stick here, remember, because I didn't put any snow over that. So the good news is the acetate is going to stick for the most part to that section there. And then I could put a little bit of glue, just, you know, a small bit of glue. It doesn't have to be a lot. You really don't need a lot of glue to get this acetate to stick. Just a little drop of glue and then hold it there. Yeah, it's going to show a little bit. If you're a perfectionist that can't handle a little dot of glue showing on your card, then this probably isn't the technique for you, but it works for me and I don't have a problem with it. So that's the way that I'm going to make it. All right. The glue that I used was this Tombow Mono liquid glue. That's what I would recommend because the art glitter glue, it's not sticking. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to go ahead and finish all of those steps, but I am going to show you what it's going to look like here in the end. Okay, so I have a piece of black, I have some black cardstock, and I'm going to make that as my card base. I'm going to take this blue wood grain look, which actually then ends up looking like water, I think, okay? Layering it like so. Let me zoom in here so you can get a better look. Oh my gosh, I hope my video is not too dark. It seems like it's awful dark. I'm sorry if it is. Okay, and the words that I selected are popping up, which I thought was cute because of the fishing, because if you're fishing, which, you know, fish don't pop, but he is ice fishing, so once he pulls a fish out, it's going to pop up from the ice. Popping up to say hello. I don't know. That's what I came up with as my little saying for this card. So that's what it looks like. That's the final product. So here's my prototype card, which is a little bit better centered, but you get the idea. I wanted to hurry up and finish this because I've already gone over 30 minutes and I know that it's hard for people to sit through 30 minutes of video. My final word is, please check out my blog and please check me out on Instagram. Please tell people that you know that are crafters and card makers to come like my channel, because once I hit